Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoeva and today I have created for you a natural glam look, but I based it around the amazing Gwen Stefani with Decay palette. So this is the star of the show. So if you want to see how to get this look right here, then just keep watching. I'm going to start off by taking my Anastasia browers in the shade Taupe, and I'm just going to use a spoolie end to comb through my brows. Using the pencil end of the browers, I'm going to mimic hair strokes by using soft light touches. And I'm going to start at the back of my brow and then work my way forward. As I'm going, I'm going to brush that through with the spoolie just to make them look as natural as possible, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the other brow. So once we're done with the pencil, we're going to move along to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade in the shade Blonde, and then I'm going to use the number 12 brush from her as well to further fill in the brows. So as you can see here, I'm just brushing off the excess into the lid of that, just so we don't get too much product. We want them to still look natural, but also very sculpted at the same time. To set those bad boys in place, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. I'm going to start priming my eyelids with the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot with my Zoeva 142 Concealer Buffer Brush, and I'm just going to buff that all over the eyelid. I'm then going to go in with my MAC 224 brush and the shade Blonde from the Decay Gwen Stefani palette. And I'm going to use that to set the paint pot all over the eyelid, just to make sure that the other eyeshadows blend well over the top. And then I'm going in with my Sigma E40 Tapered blending brush and the shade Stark from the palette. And I'm just going to dust that into the crease area. You don't really have to be too precise with this, just enough to sort of get an even coverage. Then I'm going in with my Sigma E35 Tapered blending brush and the shade Zone from the palette, and I'm just going to buff that bit further into the crease just to deepen up the look a little bit. So to avoid having any harsh edges on the eyeshadow, we're just going to go back in with the MAC 224 brush just to buff all of that out. I'm then taking my Sigma E45 Small Tapered blending brush and the shade Zone from the palette, and we're going to further deepen up the crease a little bit with that. Now I'm mainly focusing this sort of more so on the outer V, but then also once I've got a little bit less product, distributing it more evenly over the lid. Then we're just going back in with the MAC 224 just to buff that out again. I did actually have to go back in with my Sigma E40 and the shade Semi Sweet from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, just because I felt like the look needed to be a little bit deeper. I know it might come as a surprise, but we're going to go back in with the MAC 224 brush just to further blend that out so there's no harsh lines. I'm now going to take the Sigma E25 blending brush and the shade Punk, also from the palette, and we're just going to further deepen up the look a little bit more, mainly focusing it on the outer corner of the eye, but then also bringing it up into the crease. Again, using the MAC 224 and circular and windshield wiper motions, we're just going to further buff out all of that darker colour. Using my Zoeva 234 Luxe Smokey Shader brush and the shade 1987 from the palette, which is a beautiful gold, I'm going to just deposit that straight onto the lid and just pack it on as much as possible. And then I decided I wanted the colour a little bit more intense, so I'm going in with my MAC Fix Plus in the scent Coconut and the shade 1987 again, and I'm just really intensifying the eyeshadow. Using my MAC 239 brush, I'm just going to go ahead and use the shade Skimp to highlight the brow bone area. Following that, I'm just going in with the Garnier Micellar water and a little cotton tip just to clean up the edges of the eyeshadow. So now my favourite part, moving on to the base, I'm using the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equaliser Primer, and mine is in the smoothing one. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just warm it up in my fingertips, and then I'm just going to push it onto my T-zone area where I have a little more pores showing. Going in with the Stila One Step Correcting Primer, I'm just going to take a couple of pumps of that on my hand and then just rub it all over my face and anywhere where I didn't really cover with the other primer. So for foundation, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way foundation, and I am in the shade Porcelain. I'm just going to use a damp beauty blender and put a couple of pumps of that onto the back of it, dot it all over my face, and realistically I probably spent about 20 minutes blending this into my skin because it's kind of my favourite part. I go a bit ham on the foundation blending, but you know, a girl's going to do what a girl's going to do, so just keep blending until you're happy with it. I'm going to use the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in Light Warm to highlight the high points of my face, and also to conceal any areas that are a little bit darker and I want to add a little bit of brightness to. I especially like to do this under the eye area, but most importantly in that little inner corner because it tends to get quite dark under there. And then I'm going to use a damp beauty blender once again just to buff all of that concealer out. I also like to use the end part of the beauty blender just to blend the concealer into the foundation so it looks seamless. Using my Real Techniques setting brush and the shades Vanilla and Banana mixed together from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Palette, I'm just going to set any areas that we put the concealer, especially under the eyes, just to avoid any creasing throughout the day. Also my nose and my chin area, and then I think I also dust a little bit on the bottom of the jawline because my foundation tends to wear off a little bit there. Using my big fluffy Real Techniques powder brush and my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Medium Plus, I'm just going to set the rest of the face that we didn't set with the lighter powder. Using the MAC 150 brush and my Too Faced Little Black Book of Bronzers, I'm going to combine the two shades Milk Chocolate Soleil and Chocolate Soleil just to warm up the perimeters of the face. I'm also going to use those two shades to warm up the cheekbone area. Next I'm going to go in with the shade Sun Bunny and the same brush. I'm just going to go over and hit all of the same spots that I hit with the original bronzer just to add a little bit of luminosity to the face. Going in with my trusty favourite, my NARS Eater brush and Fuller by Benefit, I'm just going to further carve out the cheekbones just a little bit. I'm using quite a light hand today, and I'm also just using very light dusting motions and then also pushing the product upwards. Go in and contour my nose just a little bit to make it appear slimmer. And nobody wants a double chin, so I'm just going to go ahead and chisel out the jawline further with that Fuller Benefit bronzer. And then I'm just going to use the big fluffy brush again just to blur any lines and just make everything look really seamless. I'm then going in with the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit palette, and I'm going to use the shade Luminous Flush. And I'm taking that on a MAC 116 brush and I'm just going to sweep that across my cheekbone. Moving back to the eyes, I'm using the 231 Luxe Petite Crease Brush from Zoeva and the shade Zone from the palette. I'm going to run that underneath the under eye and blend it up into the upper eyeshadow. I'm then going to go in with the MAC 211 brush and the shade 1987. I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on the center of the under eye area, and then I'm going to use the MAC 224 brush to buff all of that out and make it look seamless. Using that MAC 211 brush once again, I'm just going to use the shade Skimp from the palette and deposit that on the inner corner of the eye just to make them pop. I'm then going to go in and curl my lashes with my Shoe Mirror Eyelash Curler and use the MAC Chromographic Pencil in NC15 to line the waterline. Now for my absolute favourite part, I'm taking the Sigma Tapered Highlighter F35 brush, naturally I'm dancing so I'm very excited, and the Becca Champagne Pop Shimmering Skin Perfector, and I'm just going to dust that all over the cheekbones, just above the brow bone, the nose, the cupid's bow, and I'm taking a little bit extra on the tip of my finger just to make that nose highlight pop. And I'm just using that big fluffy powder brush just to buff everything together and make everything look seamless. I'm just taking that MAC 239 brush again and using the Champagne Pop to highlight the brow bone just a little bit more. And then I'm using the MAC 211 brush because no one can have enough inner corner highlight, so I use Champagne Pop for that as well. To make everything look as dewy and shiny as possible, I'm going to use the MAC Fix Plus in Scent Coconut just to settle all of those powders as well and mesh everything together. I'm then going to go in with the Too Faced Perfect Lips Lip Liner in Perfect Spice to line my lips. I'm then going to go in with the NARS Lip Gloss in the shade Orgasm just to put over the top of the lip liner and make it look a little more glossy. To finish off the eyes, I'm taking my Telescopic Extra Black Mascara by L'Oreal to coat my top lashes, and then for the bottom lashes I'm using MAC's Extended Play Giga Black Lash. Finally, I'm just taking a plain spoolie to comb out the lower lash line just to avoid any smudging. Now the look is complete. That completes the look, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed watching my video. If you did, please give it a massive thumbs up because it would really help me out. And also please subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos from me. Please let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see from me next. Any suggestions are more than welcome, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye.